Hi everyone, Kate here, and today we're going to talk about someone that continues to resurface in the lottery world, who quite honestly shouldn't be at this point, and truthfully, I wish we could stop talking about this because hearing from this person is exhausting, and quite frankly, making a mockery of the sad and unfortunate death of a murder victim. Every now and then, we see headlines coming up about recent lottery winners, some infamous ones who have gone down in history for spending a lot, and then there are some tragic cases where people meet their own demise, or just go broke. But this story in particular is unique because it involves the intentional manipulation and eventual killing of a lottery winner, and it's one that many seasoned lottery players are familiar with. If you've been playing the lottery for quite a while now, or have even watched one of our much older videos about infamous lottery winners, chances are you've heard about the story of Abraham Shakespeare and Dee Dee Moore. If you haven't heard about it, I'll give you the rundown of what happened and why this case is coming up again. Back in 2006, Abraham Shakespeare won $30 million in the Florida lottery, and from then on, he was constantly bothered by strangers looking for handouts. He wasn't particularly savvy when it came to discerning who his real friends were, and that's where Dee Dee Moore comes in. Dee Dee weaseled her way into his life by saying that she wanted to write a book about his experience with winning the lottery, ironically about how people were taking advantage of him, and then she convinced him to become his financial advisor. And from that point on, it was like all bets were off. She began using him pretty much as a cheat code for infinite money, going off and spending it on cars, nice clothes, funding her lifestyle, and somehow even bought his own home. Basically, she controlled every asset that he owned, and she later had the audacity to claim that this money she spent was actually a gift from him. And when Abraham understood what was going on, he threatened her, but sadly Dee Dee took it to heart and got to him first. In 2009, Abraham went missing, and then in 2010, his body was discovered with 2 gunshot wounds in his chest, buried under a concrete slab behind a home owned by Dee Dee's boyfriend. In investigations, prosecutors interviewed Dee Dee's ex-husband, who said that she had come to him for help in digging a hole on her property so that she could hide chunks of concrete from a building inspector, and that he had no idea who Abraham was in retrospect and had never thought that the hole would be intended for a human body. Perhaps Dee Dee got spooked by Abraham's threat, but either way, there is no excuse for outright murder of another human being, and then blatantly lying about it, making excuses, and then playing the victim in a meager attempt to cover it up. During her trial, her explanation for Abraham's death was that she was trying to protect his assets in a child support case, but he was killed by drug dealers. The dead giveaway that Dee Dee was lying was how she caved into pressure from detectives during interviews, where she changed her story multiple times. She claimed to have been in different scenarios in which she was in the same room as Abraham when he was shot. At first, it was a drug dealer who she couldn't remember the name of.
It was a drug deal that went bad, and the guy's name is something. I just found it out.
And then it was actually his cousin who had first reported him missing.
It's the bottom of the ninth, and you've got 2 strikes, Dee Dee.
I watched Cedric shoot him. I was in the room. But I'm telling you, Cedric took the gun and in cold blood did not even hesitate to shoot the man, and I seen it happen.
And then finally, her story changed a third time. Her official story is that Abraham was choking her, and then Dee Dee's son walked into the room, witnessing it happening, and then shot Abraham to protect his own mother.
She said, my son RJ shot Abraham twice. Abraham was trying to choke me. RJ walked in the room, grabbed my gun, and shot him. He was only protecting me like any son would do.
Anyone who is truly not guilty and has nothing to hide should never change their story. And ideally, someone who is telling the truth would maintain the information they know with utmost confidence and conviction. The only commonality between all 3 of her explanations about how Abraham was shot was that she was the one consistently in the same room as him, while the other 3 supposed perpetrators she alleged killed him changed every single time.
Look at all the stuff you did, Dee Dee. Look at all the stuff you've done. If there's ever been some kind of cover-up, you did it on this case.
I had to.
It was obvious Dee Dee was trying to shift the blame from herself. In 2012, she was convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison, as well as 25 years for using a gun in the commission of a felony. The judge described her as the most manipulative person he had ever seen and described her as cold, calculating, and cruel. And today, she's back in the spotlight again, still maintaining that she did not kill Abraham. And while it is obvious she killed him based on loads of evidence and testimony, I guess she has nothing to lose and still trying to plead her case, and she is spending the rest of her life behind bars anyway. Last month, Dee Dee came out and said she is seeking a new trial. In fact, ever since she began serving her sentence, she's been filing motions left and right in attempts at least altering the sentence. Her claims are mostly based on the argument that she received ineffective counsel during her trial. She asserted that Abraham was actually alive for months after the date that prosecutors say she had killed him, and that her lawyer had failed to bring it up during her trial and call witnesses to the stand who would defend the notion, which would have supposedly served as evidence in her favor. Then she said her attorney should have filed a motion to block highly prejudicial statements from a detective who she says had put forward false statements about her offering to perform inappropriate acts for him as a bribe.
She actually came toward me and she said that I wasn't going to get angry, that I was going to have sex with her. She said she was very attracted to me and hoped once her name was clear that I would pursue a relationship with her.
And then finally, she accused the state of manipulating evidence during the trial and failing to share evidence that could have presented in her defense. All of these statements and claims have culminated at an evidentiary hearing in Tampa last month, where she even claimed that local police officers were taking bribes from drug dealers. Quite frankly, I'm not really sure how that point ties into the case or how she thinks that's relevant, but I'm guessing the picture she's trying to paint here is that there's a lot of bribery and foul play out here that is working against her. But really, the fact that she's bringing that up in her defense, that police were taking bribes from drug dealers that day during her evidentiary hearing, kind of points out the real narcissistic attitude you really have to think that the entire world is working against you when it's obvious that you killed someone. So she's basically turned on everyone and throwing accusations left and right, kind of like a trapped animal fighting for its life. She's even throwing the gauntlet down at her former defense attorneys who have come out themselves and said that they have done absolutely nothing wrong during the time they advocated for her. At this point, she's continuing to plead her case and say that she is not guilty with all of these technicalities and how her case was presented at trial. And she can file these claims of mistrial all she likes, and the judge can continue to dismiss them. But when it comes down to it, she has never once thought to offer a true explanation about how his body ended up on her property, buried underneath a slab, and it is possibly narcissism in its purest form. Like getting caught with your hand in a cookie jar and saying, "I didn't do it," even though it is clearly evident that you have just, in fact, pulled a cookie out of said jar. And not only that, but it is like being brazen enough to then proceed to eat the cookie in front of everyone while full-heartedly believing that you are not at fault for eating the cookie. It's really sad that this murderer is continuing to grasp at straws, and it's even sadder because of the complete lack of remorse and narcissistic denial. Even during her trial, the judge had to reprimand her 4 or 5 times for making outbursts in court, sobbing fake tears, and shouting that witnesses were straight up lying while they were on the stand.
Another day, another outburst.
Ms. Moore, I'm going to tell you once again, you need to compose yourself. Do you understand that?
Right after the jury walked out for a break, Moore can be heard shouting, "I am tired of these people lying, and this is my life."
We're not going to go back and forth. You need to compose yourself, and I'm about to give you time to do that and to speak to your lawyer.
If you purely look at the hard evidence presented in the case and remove the emotion from the equation, it makes her attempts at getting a new trial even more disappointing. But again, she has nothing to lose at this point because she already lost it all the moment she took someone's life away, and now she is paying the price. It just goes to show you how self-absorbed and shameless you really have to be to do something like this. Since the evidentiary hearing for her claims took place in mid-July, we should be seeing a ruling this month, so for now all we can do is wait and see what comes of it. I don't personally think it'll change much, but we'll have to see what the justice system delivers. Let us know what you think about this case below, and if you think Dee Dee has a fair shot at retrial, or at least a modification of her sentence. We're interested to hear what you think of it all. Feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to stick around for more videos. We would love to have you stay around. And from all of us at Lottery Post, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.